These are the dominant seventh chords with an augmented fifth and a lowered fifth being derived from the whole tone scale on the 2, 3, 4, 5 string family on F sharp and G flat. And in introducing these, we'll just make some quick comparisons between some of the other chords from the diminished family. For example, this chord in particular, sort of A7 sharp 9, A, C sharp, G, and C, and we do a voice exchange of the G and the A. So we get this. So G, C sharp, A, and C, and then we lower the C or the raised 9 to B flat for flat 9 and resolve to D minor. And the comparisons, and you'll see in this type of chord as well, F sharp, C sharp, G, and C, again with the exchange G, C, F sharp, and C sharp, going down to B flat in that case. We have similarities within this whole tone. We move it in this manner, and we'll start to investigate these sort of chord voicings that have a similar shape to the diminished, oddly enough, like that. The first we'll start out with, and we'll keep in mind that these can be moved by a whole step, obviously, and we're just going to stay within the scale on these, and there are a number of them. We'll start out with the F sharp 7 with the sharp 5. So this is F sharp, D, E, and B flat or A sharp. And of course that resolves to B in this case, so B major chords. So here they are. We can raise the A sharp to C, just like we did on the 13th chord with the diminished. That's sort of we did that for the diminished. So these can be F, D, E, and C, moving to B flat, and moving to A flat. Interesting, because in this case, we have sort of a ninth chord for the D, or a sharp 5 and a sharp 11 on the F sharp. This is the traditional sharp 5 chord on F sharp, but if we do this, we have sort of an E9, and if we exchange the D and the E, or excuse me, the F sharp and the G sharp rather, we have a ninth chord, which is movable. That's a very nice ninth. That's in D, G sharp, and D, E, and F sharp. And we saw that with the sharp 9 last time, and the flat 9 now it's a traditional ninth. So we can hear that resolve to A. You know, that very nice resolution into the A chord. So that works great. Okay. Moving ahead from there, the inner voice, we'll go back to the sharp 5, F sharp, D, E, and A sharp. The middle voice, the alto, can go to G sharp, and that gives us sort of a B flat 7 with a sharp 5, F sharp, D, A flat, and B flat. And if we move that D to C, again, we get this sort of inner voice motion here, and again, it really nice movement. And what that gives us, in effect, is an A flat 9. So we're going from B flat 7 sharp 5 to A flat 9, very simply, just with one move. And this A flat 9 could resolve to a D flat, very easily, a D flat minor in that case. Moving ahead still, the inner voice moves, of course, moving from an F sharp, sharp 5 to a flat 5, just by moving D to C in this case. And that's obvious. And resolving to, in that case, I ended on a D and I resolved to a D flat minor or a C sharp minor. More possibilities, just some of the possibilities, is if we go back to this E9 chord here, this F sharp D, or F sharp, sort of sharp 9, excuse me, sharp 5 with a ninth. We can move the lower voice, the F sharp can move to A sharp. That's nice too as well. or it could move to the C. So for instance, once we move the F sharp to A sharp, so it's A sharp or B flat, D, E, and G sharp, which is a B flat 7 with flat 5, go into a sharp 5, moved it down to D, and then just ended it on a C sharp. That's fine because it has that predictable kind of sound in a good way. Going back to this now, we're moving the F sharp to A sharp. Once we do that, we can move the E to F sharp. So now we have a proper B flat 7 sharp 5. And then that can resolve to an A. So we sort of end on this E7 sharp 5, flat 5, and we can maybe end on an E flat chord as well by semitone. Going back here to this chord, we can now move the F sharp to G sharp, and then we can move the top voice to avoid doubling. So we have an E7 flat 5 here. This is G sharp, D, E, and A sharp, and that can move to C, obviously. See, now all these voices can move and resolve to F in that case. If I look at that as my ending point, and you can get as a C7 with a flat 5 and a sharp 5, or I could have reversed and looked at it as an F sharp 7 sharp 5 to a flat 5, or an A flat 7 with a sharp 5 and escape in G, or G minor, whatever, doesn't matter. Moving back here, now obviously there are different ways to mix and match these, but this is noted with this sort of this approach to moving two voices at a time. And in fact, if we looked at the first, the diminished move that we had, this kind of thing, if we looked at that and then we applied it to here like we did before, and then even expanded that. So watch this F sharp, D, G sharp, and A sharp. Now if we do a voice exchange of the F sharp and the G sharp, we get the traditional sharp 5 sound. So it's kind of collapsing this sort of a thing. We end on an F sharp going to a B, and that's a nice sound. So that's an interesting whole tone sound. Again, making a reference to the diminished. And if we remember from last time, we could do things that involve different intervals, playing like this. So we said that this was a C13 flat 9, C, E, A, and D flat. But ahead on the two lower voices, we make it E flat and G flat, A and C sharp or D flat. So it's actually an E flat minor 7 flat 5, just through moving the intervals, then to a C 13 flat 9, C minor 7 flat 5, A 13 flat 9, and so on, resolving to F from F sharp. We get that sort of locked hands sort of sound. So we can do the same thing with the whole tone, and in fact, we can, these inner voices, for instance, we pick the flat 5, D, F sharp, G sharp, and C, and we can move the intervals, the F sharp to E, and then, so any of these can be planed in that fashion, and ending off on a B flat, so we can end up on an E flat. And that's a nice, really nice resolution there. It works. It's good sound. And it gives you an idea of actually how flexible the whole tone scale can be, and looking at it from the perspective of always transforming. So anytime we transform a fingering, so for instance, we go back to the original, we move up to C, and we said we have a ninth chord in that case. So this was a regular ninth chord on D, F#7, #5, E9, and then we continue B♭7, #5, A♭9, A♭7, #5, and so on, moving backwards. This is B♭7, flat 5, B♭7, #5, E7, #5, E7, flat 5, A♭7, #5, and you can see how the transformations work. For instance, this too. If we use this as a traditional ninth chord on C, I mean, obviously that can also be used as a cadential chord if you were to look at it. This one is the root, B flat, D, E, and C. For instance, in this context, that would be a dominant 7, or, a dominant resolution to a tonic. Same with this. If we move to, again, two voices, we move F#, D, E, and C, and this time we move the G sharp too, so we can get this, F#, D, G sharp, and C. So now we also have an A♭7 with a flat 5 right there that can combine with this. And you can see how these mix and match and can ultimately resolve nicely. And there's so much material there, so many possibilities. And again, it's the concept of transforming. Again, there's the E9 from collapsing the voices of this, for looking at the voice exchange, that sort of a thing. So that will give you a basic overview of the dominant 7, #5, and flat 5 chords on the 2, 3, 4, 5 string family based on the whole tone scale on F# or G flat.